Hi you guys, I'm ElenaVe and welcome back to my channel. It's always a pleasure to see you come back, and it's also a pleasure to see a couple new faces. If you're not already a part of this tight-knit community, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that ring bell notification so you can always be notified as to when I upload a new video. So without any further ado, let's just jump into today's video.
Representative Jordan, good evening. During the debate last week, you said there is a lack of transparency in state politics. Within the last 2 months, your campaign paid a total of $30,000 to 2 Wyoming companies. One is owned by your campaign manager, who's a California attorney. The other company was recently registered anonymously with the Wyoming Secretary of State, and it has the same address as the federal super PAC that you and your campaign manager advised on. My questions: who owns Roughneck Steering, this newly created anonymous company? Why did you pay it $20,000? And as someone who is campaigning on transparency, why is your campaign associated with such shadowy out-of-state companies?
Well, first of all, thank you, Cynthia, for your great question. I ultimately believe in transparency, and like in the State House, I really walk my talk. I was one who firmly supported that we have more transparency when it comes to financial interest in the money that we take in, which is why every single question that you've asked me, I have given you the information, including my own income taxes. I fully believe in transparency, and it's why I even supported and have asked my treasurer, Senator John Peavy, to represent this campaign because he is the godfather of the Sunshine Law. And answering your question, which is actually great, I will reply that honestly, everything that we have, all of the reports, the contracts, everything has been above ground, and it's as reported, and it's already been filed. So I'd have a very long conversation about this prior to this event. We've submitted a press statement to you and as many others who have asked this question. So you do have all the facts and figures before you, but you're asking it here again. So same follow-up to you is that these are same contractors for the campaign who are helping with information as we're getting out the vote, which is a simple process, which is what supporters of the campaign are contributing to the campaign for, which is getting more people to the doors, knocking not only on the doors in the communities, but making those phone calls in communities all across Idaho.
It's often said that the way you run is the way you'll govern. You've seen multiple people quit your campaign only to have you turn around and claim they were fired. You've also forced several staffers to sign non-disclosures agreement, and yet again you're running on the idea of transparency. Why should we believe your administration will be transparent when your campaign has not been?
Well, again, thank you, Cynthia, for the question. And again, it is always about transparency, as we have been above ground about every single thing. In fact, many members of the media have come to our campaign and have asked the same questions and been given the same responses. And unlike yourself, you know, you're having a different reaction to the same truth, which is unfortunate. But the fact remains, when we have a growing campaign that has been really exceedingly grown exponentially here, not only in the state of Idaho, but across the country, a lot of people have volunteered who are also working, have moved here to our state to work directly for the campaign, to become part of our mass movement. You're going to have some missteps. You're going to have some people where we have multiple folks in many different parts of our state, and it's hard to keep track of every single individual and what they're doing. But in this case, you're going to have someone who you disagree with, and clearly we disagree with this one particular individual and what has happened. So there's going to be growing pains.
We'll move to Lieutenant Governor Little. Idaho consistently receives failing grades when it comes to government accountability and transparency. This past session, the legislature took little action on the recommendations of its own campaign finance task force. As governor, will you address this, and how specifically?
Well, I've got a long record on that. Matter of fact, some of the sunshine laws in Idaho on elections were laws that I drafted and got passed. I've always been a proponent of it. I think it speaks to the essence of a democratic republic, is that people know where the money comes from, knows who contributes the money, and that's been my position in the past, and that will be my position in the future.
So any legislation that comes across your desk that strengthens campaign finance or government accountability is going to get a signature from you?
Well, I will not commit to every single bill, but if you can look at my record in the past, and you can see that I've been for them. But a governor should be prudent in every legislation they look at to make sure it accomplishes the ultimate goal. And that's my ultimate goal, is more transparency to the citizens of Idaho.
Thank you for the wonderful question, Betsy. And it actually goes to show that we have lacked in transparency, which is also why our state has been given an F rating. It's unfortunate. The Little Otter administration has failed the public good of Idaho. Once I'm governor, I will fully show what transparency is about. I'm going to protect the integrity of the media. And, you know, unlike our current institution, they have really failed Idahoans when it comes to having this direct connection. We are already doing that as is. We have town halls on a frequent basis. We have constant meetings on a daily with local individuals from the public media. And on top of that, we have meetings upon meetings all over every single county. We are meeting with mayors and local city council members, ensuring that local governing authorities have a direct relationship to their future governor. I value that, and I find that to be extremely important. So again, once I'm governor, we will make sure that everyone has access to the governor's office and to the State House, as should be.
The four of you know how accessible I've been in the Senate as Lieutenant Governor, and then my campaign. My campaign speaks for itself as far as transparency and openness, as far as being open to the press. It's the essence of a democratic republic, that the people, through whatever means, and the press is one of the most important ones, have access to how governments run. Transparency is literally the mother's milk of a successful, and the fact that that there would be confidence of the people in what decisions are being made by their government. I have been abundantly clear that we have to have comprehensive immigration reform, and the issue of the negative atmosphere for people that have been here, the dreamers, and of course work permits that we have, that I utilized when I was in the industry. We have to have that solved. We did it once in the 80s. We need to do it now. We need to address that problem so that those people don't have to live in the shadows. We obviously have to have border security. But with that border security, we need to have a program that exists for people to come here, and to come here safely, to where they don't have to be in the shadows. And I've been an advocate for good, strong comprehensive immigration reform.
I think what's more important to understand is that, yes, to answer your question very directly, I do. And it's unfortunate that people do not understand what goes behind sanctuary cities. It is in fact the removal of the federal agencies and more local control, which I prefer. I'd like us to move more so favorably towards state sovereignty, and in fact run our own state for the better, as we know best. So local law enforcement, they would do better with local leadership supporting them, versus us being run by the federal government and run by these federal agencies, doing less for our people and doing more damage than good.
Okay, would you take ICE out of the state of Idaho then?
No, because ICE does a good job, and they actually represent a particular position and protections. But there needs to be a responsible solution in terms of local leadership working with local law enforcement to do their job properly and correctly. And on top of that, for there to be a continuation in terms of cultural respect. There needs to be understanding between our communities, and right now there's disengagement. And when there's this broad gap in how we treat our people of color in this state, then you're going to see more problems, more harm. And right now we are separating families, and it's unfortunate that our Lieutenant Governor has yet to understand that when it comes to immigration reform, we have reform that needs to happen here at home as well. And we have young children that I have met even in places like Jerome County, where families are being separated. And it's despicable, and honestly, Lieutenant Governor, it's unconscionable that you would allow this to happen under your leadership.
So, with all that being said, let me know what you guys think in the comment box below. Be sure to follow me on my social media. The links to those accounts will be provided in the description box below. Again, I am ElenaVe, and remember, always leave things better than how you found it. Bye!